One of the most anticipated albums of the summer is also one of the first that we get. COMA ECLIPTIC by Between the Buried and Me. I have high expectations for this album. I'll just spoil that as a fan. Because while I enjoyed the Parallax Cycle, the duo of albums or releases that really came from that, I felt that there was a little bit more that could be done. And I felt like there was a little bit more that was in the tank, and that it suffered from a little bit of inconsistency. With COMA ECLIPTIC, what my hope was to see this band evolve even further and do their best to really try to tread the ground that Colors walks on, at least in my opinion, but really just to produce a solid album. The band went in and produced, with lofty expectations mind you, a rock opera that certainly is worthy of that title. COMA ECLIPTIC is an album that is based around a gentleman who falls into a coma and starts to relive and revisit his past lives in almost what you would consider to be like a strange episode of like one of those television series that you would have seen in the 60s or 70s, like The Twilight Zone or Night Gallery, or was it Night Gallery? I think it was. Or Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Regardless to what show it is, at the end of all of this, this gentleman is then presented with the choice of staying within this realm or going back to potentially a better life. So already we have a very interesting, I would really consider that more Twilight Zone-y style of a plot. But the music is really the important part here. How is a rock opera in 2015 really going to function? I mean, Between the Buried and Me aren't exactly The Who. Well, in a way, they kind of are. They are kind of becoming this style, this progressive metalcore or just progressive metal version of The Who in recent memory, because this concept album gives you a couple of striking thoughts. The first one is that this has a very, very nice cohesion to it. This has a great connectivity to it. Whenever it comes to actually formulating this as the concept album that it's designed to be, as the rock opera as it's designed to be, the band took a lot of care to ensure that everything was going to really fit together perfectly. They know the pieces fit, and they're not even Tool. It's kind of, kind of crazy. But the second part about it is even within some of the melody, and especially whenever you hear stuff in the beginning of this album with Node, and things that you also hear like right at the bookend with Life in Velvet, the way in which they're able to kind of encase things with something that's very soft and quiet, almost in a very circular fashion, but at the end of Life in Velvet, it's something that really thrusts itself into a powerful, powerful coda, which is it gives you and leaves you with a warm satisfaction of finishing the album, but also it leaves you with that familiar desire to go back to Node and start all over again. The meat of this is obviously tracks 2 through 10. This is a 68-minute long album. And immediately from the Coma machine, you can tell that this is a band that definitely has added some new things to their arsenal. For one, we already knew that they had the potential to be a progressive metal band. This has already been established. This is something that's been known for years. It's not a secret. However, it seems like with this album, they even have adopted even further a progressive metal side, but even further into a progressive rock side. There are names that I could utter that definitely bear a little bit of resemblance whenever it comes to some things that I hear on this album. I hear a little bit of Porcupine Tree in the softest moments, maybe a little bit more Riverside, a lot of Dream Theater. A lot of Dream Theater. And it's not so much just in the tonal property of the guitar work. It's not so much even in the basic body of construction. Between the Buried and Me still is very unique and still has their own very unique style. But whenever you listen to it, it's almost as though Between the Buried and Me is saying to the rest of the world, if you don't consider us a part of this progressive pantheon, if you don't consider us a part of this progressive movement that has been happening over the course of the past, say 5 to 10 years, if you're not on board and think that we are in the same league as a group such as Dream Theater, you need to think again. Because this is an album that definitely strikes me very much like Between the Buried and Me's version of Metropolis 2 Scenes from a Memory. It has that kind of storyline, it has that kind of body of work, and it has all of those trademark moments that make an album of this variety memorable. Turn on the Darkness is probably one of the best Between the Buried and Me songs that I've heard in recent memory. Probably the best one that I've heard since probably White Walls, I'm thinking, from Colors. This song just is able to create so many different emotions and deliver in so many different ways. From its softest moments to its chaotic moments, and there's even some resemblances in there to the randomness that Between the Buried and Me is able to introduce into their music, almost at whim, something that we saw a good bit of with their albums all the way up to Colors, and even including The Great Misdirect. King Redeem, Queen Serene has probably one of the best first parts. The cleanly side, the very clean side of this song is terrific. And it's something that whenever we get to the heaviness, the aggressiveness, and then eventually revert back to that clean at the end, again, a circle, a musical circle, it makes all the sense in the world, and it nearly moves you. It nearly moves you to get emotional. Memory Palace we already know about. We already know about this near 10-minute long track. This is the longest song on the album, but that doesn't mean anything. Most of the rest are between 6 and 8. But we know that this track definitely has Floydian ideas within it. And then you get to the ectopic stroll, which takes the very nature of chaos and fun that makes Between the Buried and Me such an enjoyable listen for many, many people. And you get that 100% in this track. It's almost like they're reminding you that they have definitely not forgotten about that side, and they can still write grooves that really just kind of jam and kind of give you a little bit of a lighthearted smile on your face, even though this is meant to be pretty serious. Finally, option Oblivion, for being a 4-minute long track that's almost serving as the precursor to the outro of the album, delivers one final crushing moment and one final real rampage that this band is able to really to deliver to its fans. And it's just a very, very solid track. And it's one that's nearing the 2-minute mark, you hear a solo that just, it causes your feet to ground themselves to the floor, and it causes you to pay attention. Because it has all of the magic that you would expect. There really isn't a bad song on this album. There really is not a poor track on this disc. Maybe there are a couple that maybe extend for a minute too long, but I don't think that that's very common, and that's going to be more so opinion than probably fact. This album's runtime can sometimes be dissuasive to some individuals because it's nearly 70 minutes. It's more than an hour to commit. Do it. It's worth every minute of it. This has the potential to go down as a terrific, terrific concept album here in the year 2015. And it's actually going to be holding hands with Hand.Cannot.Erase by Steven Wilson for that category, because that album by Steven Wilson right now currently has a perfect score. This album, unfortunately, does not, but it's pretty damn close. I would give this disc by Between the Buried and Me 96 out of 100. So it's almost like Steven Wilson's reaching his hand backward, and he can touch Between the Buried and Me and COMA ECLIPTIC. And I give it this score principally because, like I said, I feel like there are tiny flaws that exist, but they are very minute, and it's something where you are being very nitpicky. But I just think that between the two of them, Hand.Cannot.Erase is still the better album. But I also think that Between the Buried and Me did their best to really make an independent album, but also supersede everything that they've ever done before. And they have pretty much almost done that, for me at least. For many others, this will probably be at the top spot. For others, that will not be the case. For me, Color still has it, but it's by a very narrow margin. But what did you guys think? I want to know what you guys think. Cover Killer Nation, Between the Buried and Me fans, metal fans, music fans. What did you think about COMA ECLIPTIC by Between the Buried and Me? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you think this rock opera is something where Between the Buried and Me should just do this for the rest of their careers and essentially become the best heavy metal Who band ever? Because I think they should. They are really, really good at this. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you once again to everybody who participated in 24 hours of Cover Killer Nation, which wrapped up just about 4 minutes ago. This is actually the last video that is recorded during the event. Thank you once again to all of you, and I will see you when I see you. If you haven't checked this album out, definitely do so. Whenever this album is available to you at your local record store in a couple of days, it's no contest. You need to go and you need to buy it.